One question that people always ask: should I use a lawyer or not? I don't have enough money, but I need to apply for. I need to adjust my status. Generally, not everyone that is posing as an attorney is actually an attorney, right? So you have to do your due diligence. Attorneys are registered at the states. They have the state bar associations. You can confirm, check their name, check their ID. They confirm that.
Using an attorney is very, very important. In fact, to me, I would say if everyone can afford it, I think it's just best to, go that route.
Now, it's very important that there's a difference between immigration judge and U.S.A. Immigration judges in the U.S., because it's law that oversees, just to buttress your point, oversees the U.S.A.'s policy. Birth certificate McBleny has already submitted, but they came out like, we need another birth certificate. McBleny for U.S.A. like, I have submitted. The officer just told him like, send it again. Should they say that waiting they need? I'm not hammering on publication here. I'm hammering on the line of demonstrated expertise. It doesn't have to be a publication. I agree with you. I'm saying there's a line like that on the U.S.A.'s page. So it might be a publication. It might be evidence of work that you've done outside of the United States.
It's just like when you're going to the embassy to apply for visa.
Same.
You understand? Like, you have everything they said. Normally, every other person has gone. Your brother went there. The documents he carried, he went over there. They gave him visa. You carry the same thing. Got there. They say no.
There's so many problems now. You're supposed to know that one. I'll not be the U.S.A.'s officer anymore. Now from the village, they don't open the mirror.
However, there are also cases where we've seen lawyers make mistakes in people's packages. I've seen someone that the lawyer wrote the wrong address. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it's the person's fault or the lawyer. Like it was mind boggling. Like how did they make this mistake?
That an immigration judge can look at your case and give you permanent residence. Like it's not a question of go back and apply to it. It just told them, forget the U.S.A.'s matter. My friend, they're going to issue you a green card. Send this information to the U.S.A. In 2 months, Baba get the card for bail. All right, everybody. It's nice to see you guys again. So it's always fun to be here with these two gentlemen and have these conversations to share our experiences. Welcome to another episode of the McBleny Podcast. Pretty much, this is going to be the last part of a series that was started 2 weeks ago related to immigration and how to adjust your status as an F1 student or as an immigrant in the United States. I know we pretty much started by talking about the different routes that was available once we are pretty done with school to be able to adjust your status. 2 weeks ago, the last week, we also mentioned some of the things associated with trying to ensure that you stay within status because it makes your adjustment process a lot easier. You don't want to fall out of status whereby it becomes a problem for you to be able to go through the U.S.A.'s process of actually adjusting your status and getting a green card and to be able to stay in the U.S., work and live as a permanent resident. So today we're also just going to shine a little bit light about some of the importance of actually seeking legal counsels when you want to adjust your status or some of the associated challenges. Also with that process, which is using lawyers or attorneys, legal attorneys to be able to adjust your status. We're also going to mention a little bit of resources that are out there that can be available to immigrants to be able to adjust their status in case they're interested in legal aids and legal counsels. Lastly, we'll share a few stories, for people that we know that have been able to go through that gauntlet, be able to adjust their status successfully, either on their own or using lawyers, and possibly give you guys a measure of the differences in both processes and some of the win rates that's also associated with that process. Like we always say, remember, these are personal opinions. These are not legal opinions. We are just sharing our experiences, and it's just three gentlemen that are having conversations. Before before I turn over the floor to our speaker today, which is going to be Annie, it's going to be leading this last series of the episode. I also want to thank everybody that have subscribed to the channel, and also encourage more people to actually subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button and keep supporting us, and we really appreciate that. So, Eniola, you can I turn over the table to you and the mic to you. Lead us on.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for the warm introduction, and I welcome everybody to today's episode as we continue to on this series, and we'll try and wrap up today. And we want to delve a little bit more into the into some legal ramifications and some considerations that further considerations that people should sometimes have issues with, or they need to take into cognizance. So one thing is one question that people always ask: should I use a lawyer or not? I don't have enough money, but I need to apply for. I need to adjust my status. Generally we're talking about F1 students trying to adjust their status, and sometimes you have a job, you're trying to move between states. To adjust your status, there's a government fee for some of these different forms: I-40, I-30, I-4, 465. These different forms, they have their own costs, and the lawyers also, they have their own charges, uh, roughly between 3,000 to 10,000. I think the 3,000 is already expiring. They are now on the 6,000 to 10,000 size, if you would be paying for yourself. So this is an important consideration. But however, it's not just the money. There are other things to consider, right? So these are some things I will try and look at, the points that we should consider. So what's the thing? Let's say you want to use a lawyer. Let's just go with that. Why should you use a lawyer? Of course, this is their job. They're experts. The immigration law is humongous. It keeps changing. They've been doing it for many people. It's case by case. So they are they're experts in these things, and they also have sometimes communication with the folks at the U.S.A. They have sometimes, I think they have meetings and trainings, especially when there's a major change in law. Sometimes they have their inputs as to how they should apply this law, how they should submit documents or packages that could help their clients. So that's a huge one. That's a huge reason to use a lawyer. And also, lawyers would mostly make sure that your package is complete before they send it in. The immigration requirements are usually layered. There are multiple components that you have to make sure that you have in there. Sometimes it may not be easy for you to know all of the different components, even though there are resources that you can use. Of course, the USCIS website, some immigration dedicated blogs. Some of these blogs are actually run by some of these law firms, and some YouTube channels. Some people that just enjoy to do immigration stuff, like I think like me. Sometimes we just have things information, we have things out there that could potentially help. Reddit is another, it's one useful resource. However, the lawyer is able to look at your case for you, and make sure it's intact, avoid errors or mistakes that could lead to delays or even denials. These are some things that could happen, and lawyers generally would help you prevent this. And sometimes some of these lawyers, luckily, some of them have free consultations, right? They might have like a 30 minutes phone call or email consultation. You can send in your profile, then they decide, if they want to take your case or why they can take your case, or they just give you general advice, right? And some of them actually also have video consultations. I find that that's even more, that can put you even at ease, and that's very helpful. So another reason that someone should use a lawyer is that if you're just not you're not comfortable with yourself, you don't think you can go through the process. These documents, the application, the statement of purpose, letter of recommendation, sometimes they are very daunting to write. I mean, even writing an application for graduate school on his own, it can be tough, let alone trying to adjust status. So this someone can feel, okay, maybe this is too much for me. I don't even know the language that they are speaking. How can I write this? How can I help myself with this? I'd rather go with a lawyer. So that those are some reasons to go for a lawyer. And maybe a down the line reason to also use a lawyer could be if there's a request for further evidence, depending on what the request for further evidence is. Sometimes they're just asking for your birth certificates. I don't think you need a lawyer to help you with that, but sometimes they really want you to craft messages and provide further evidence as regards your expertise. So this, potentially you could use a lawyer for. So these are some, merits of using a lawyer. What are the demerits? Of course, first one, you're going to be out of some 5,000, 6,000, as the case may be. A lot of them allow payment plans, which still sometimes is not very easy, to run. But at least that gives you some breathing space over the months to pay to make payments for the service that they would be rendering. However, there are also cases where we've seen lawyers make mistakes in people's packages. I've seen someone that the lawyer wrote the wrong address. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it's the person's fault or the lawyer. Like it was mind boggling. Like how did they make this mistake? And but luckily the person caught the error themselves, and they were able to fix it. So that lends itself to the next challenge with using a lawyer. Sometimes when you're using a lawyer, you're kind of out of the process, right? You're not really on top of what is going on. You don't do enough research. You're like, oh, they're handling it, so you just feel, oh, they are doing everything. So that careful monitoring, that agency from you, in some ways, maybe naturally or psychologically, might not be as much as you doing it for yourself, even though of course they are the experts. So understanding the case, or even remembering what you did, so that these are some ways that you could have some demerits that I believe using a lawyer could have as well. And some of the law firms too, sometimes when they see your case, they are not really very interested. That can be very demoralizing, because you're like, so I cannot adjust my status because yeah. So that can be very, very terrifying, especially when you are at the point where you're no longer a student, you're graduating, or you graduated, and you're like, okay, how do I survive in this country? How do I move forward? So that can be very demoralizing. I've seen cases, where someone spoke to a lawyer. They're like, they can't take their case, and they were I didn't know this person. It was a friend that introduced them to me. I had to talk to them, had to encourage them, and they were like, wow, they didn't think that was possible. They thought they were already thinking, oh, they will have to leave the country at some point. Or it can be very, very challenging. It can be very, very tasking, especially mentally. And so this is one downside to using a lawyer. And maybe another thing is, with lawyers, sometimes they make you really write your application. They make you really write. I had a friend who was thinking about using a lawyer, not using a lawyer. After about 6 months, she ended up deciding, of course, she'll use a lawyer. And they made her, okay. They were very systematic. They gave her, okay, can you give us a draft of your application? Just the application. Let's see who adjusts it. She wrote down and they kept it. Hello, okay, you need reference letters. Can you give us like 3 drafts? We would adjust it for you. And she wrote the drafts. She sent it to them. When they put everything together, they wanted to submit. So they gave her just to review one more time. She read it. It was a verbatim what she wrote. She was like, "What is going on here?"
That is
So
that is strange.
yeah, well, so I was like, well, two things. Maybe you're such a good writer, but for someone that was terrified for about 6 months, thinking, oh, should I use a lawyer? I don't think I can write it myself. I need to use a lawyer. Like, okay, now the lawyer is using verbatim what the person wrote. Of course, this person has a solid case. I was like, man, you have a solid case, but they were in a different field. but I just like
Mhm.
you, like I am certain, like there's no nothing. I saw the case, but to craft the strategy that would be best for them, I was like, just think this through, and they went with a lawyer. So that was strange, right? Having
Mhm.
to write your own
Yeah.
application.
Yeah.
It's and you are still out of
Mm.
$5,000.
Mhm.
What are you
Yeah,
paying?
I mean, I feel they probably, sorry for the for cutting
Yeah,
in.
no, that's fine. No, no, please go ahead.
Yeah, I, I I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Like maybe the reason why lawyers want clients to write the application themselves is they know their own story and want them to present their story to be as natural as it should be as possible. A lawyer can write up a story for you and it would not represent you and your I mean, they would try to make it out to ensure that it's something that would work in your favor, but you may need to you may the maybe immigration judge or immigration officers or whoever it's on the other side to be able to learn some more personal stories from you, especially depending on the case, depending on the situation, you know um but normally I would expect that when it gets to your attorney, then the attorney at that point should take a look at it and polish it, to make it look more legally, will I say legally compliant, or I don't know. But some of them are just, in my opinion, I just feel like some of them are just lazy to uh, do some extra work other than the filing work. Having to just, the thing they want to do is submit the paperwork, submit the filing, and but again, it depends on the situation. Somebody in a deportation proceeding, certainly would need the lawyer to be much more active in this case, compared to someone who is just maybe trying to change status from maybe applying for a green card or um, some other type of visa change, visa status or something like that. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
my
I
Yeah.
own.
think that makes
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? And that
Mm.
also that was the first thing, right? The case was the person was wondering, okay, I don't have enough money, but I'm not confident in this whole thing. I don't know if I'm even qualified or if I can write. There are two
Mm.
considerations. Some people don't even know if they are qualified. A lot of times they are, but because there are different categories, right? Then the second, can I really write something about myself that works? But I mean, because I know the situation, I know this person is very thorough, right? So
Mm.
maybe that also fed into it, right? And I also know other people that have used lawyers. To answer your question about crafting your own story, some of these lawyers, like another law firm, basically they gave the person like, I don't know, that thing was like 28 pages of like questionnaire.
Well,
Questionnaire to fill. The guy was like, the guy
mm.
took how many months? In about 3 months, he was like, man, this thing is too much. I'm paying for a lawyer. Yeah.
And
So
the
so the
system
bottom
is
line,
not
the
aware.
bottom line,
Yeah.
the bottom line, to be fair, they have to use what you give them, right? The more ammunition you give them, the more they can craft your story. But at least in that case, it was a questionnaire. It was like, fill in the gap, short
Mhm.
paragraphs, and they were then able to put, something huge. Like when they started reading his profile, I'm like, wait, is this me that they pack it this way? That
Yeah.
makes sense, right? I mean, either way, they both got it, and maybe it makes sense in the particular cases. But there's this subconscious like, oh, if I pay a lawyer, I won't have to do much stress. I won't have to, you're still going to
Just
have
let
to
fix it.
give them
Yeah.
what they need, right? You see, they most of the time, like I usually say, people what they don't have is a strategy to present themselves. That's usually what the lawyer usually have: strategy to present you, and of course they will write it up to effect that. So if you can figure out your strategy, I think that maybe
Yeah.
lends itself to you doing it by yourself if your case is simple enough. There's some straightforward cases like that. But then if your case is complicated, you just want to go with a lawyer if you've been out of status or you've worked off
Mhm.
campus. Those are like two key cardinal points, right? Just want, I think there might be people that have done that themselves, but I imagine It's so complicated that they start measuring. Okay, when did you walk out of status? How many hours? Then they convert it. There's a they, they convert it.
Mm.
Even the Saturday and Sunday. So just to dial in on that, while this is speaking for why you may need a lawyer. So if you work for
Mm.
1 month, Monday to Friday,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's like you think, oh, it's just 20 days. No, it is the Saturday and Sunday counts,
Mm.
right? Because this was what they said. If you are employed now, as you are employed, you're working for an employer, even though on Saturday and Sunday you're not going to work, you're still employed. You
Yeah, so
understand?
now,
Like
yeah, yeah.
in a normal sense, you're still employed.
Yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
cut and pay, like all that calculation. So
But
I
yeah, are you sure? I'm thinking about that now in terms of number of hours. I would think that shouldn't count.
no, I'm
Because
telling you, these complications. These are I know someone that had a case like that, and
and
it's
and
just
and
it's just complicated. It's beyond what I'm even saying. There is a way to calculate the fact that you work 20 hours. There's a way they will calculate it. Then it will now go into the, okay, are you behind are you below the pardonable threshold or not, all of
Mm.
that complication. It
mm, uh,
basically, if you have that, I would just say just go for a lawyer, and a lawyer that you know handles that type of case, right? Or that if they have experience with that type of case, because I've seen lawyer also reject that case, those type of cases as well. So um it's very important. So your expectations, manage your expectations with lawyers. Sometimes the fact that someone used a lawyer and they went through a particular process, like I said, they gave them a questionnaire and that was it. There was another one that you just told them to submit their CV. The questionnaire was just about 3 pages, and they spoke with them. Then the lawyer went ahead and just crafted everything that they needed. So it could vary like that. So maybe you want to do research on the lawyer that you would be using if you would be using a lawyer. Also,
Mm.
another consideration is not everyone that is posing as an attorney is actually an attorney, right? So you have to do your due diligence. Attorneys are registered at the states. They have the state bar associations. You can confirm, check their name, check their ID, confirm that. And also, you want to do beyond more than that. Look at cases that a lot of times they have websites, they have blogs or something.
yeah.
See the cases that they've done. Are these people more family, more VAWA, more all the chat, what's that DACA, are those the ones that they're doing,
Yeah.
or are they doing the type that I really want to do? So you have to make sure, in some ways you just check these things off. That way
Okay.
you'll be much more comfortable, and you don't fall into the wrong hands of people that are just, they have an idea, they know how these things work, they have a business, you pay, so they can sometimes represent themselves as lawyers, which I think there's nothing wrong. If you have a business, you're helping people to do that, then but you clarify that you're not a lawyer, right? I think that's important. So those are some considerations when you're using a lawyer, and some demerits. So you adjust your expectation, do your diligence for what you will be paying for. And if your case is not very straightforward, you may want to use a lawyer. Even if it's straightforward, sometimes it's daunting getting this package together. You may still want to use a lawyer. At least they will be there to help you. Okay, so why should you do it
Yeah.
yourself? Of course, if your case is straightforward, you are adjusting is straightforward. You don't have money. You think you can go
Pause,
through the
pause,
rigor.
pause.
Funds is always a huge consideration. You think you can do
Yeah.
the research yourself. There are people that have YouTube channels and they have templates, of different cases. You can join communities. USAI's website, of course, absolutely. That's your Bible. Things are changing. Make sure you're always there when you're writing these things. Give it to people that have experience. They can help you look at it. Of course, think through how you want to position yourself. I say strategy, strategy, strategy. The fact that you have a lot of experience, or you have publications, or you don't have publication, it doesn't really matter. There's nothing. Oh, and I think this is important, especially for people that are doing like EB2, for instance. That, like, I know people that are like, oh, I don't have publications, or I don't have citations, I cannot apply. That's not necessarily true. What I asked them, show me the USAIS legislation, uh, um, regulations or policies that says that identify that submit your publication. And this is what people have been saying. Yes, people have been saying that. Show me where the government themselves said it. There's no statutes. There's no a policy that say you should have that. But essentially, you want to present yourself correctly, and you want to demonstrate that with evidence. Right? That you're an expert in this space. Publications can help to do that. Citations can help to do that.
Any. Yeah, sorry to cut in. Just to clarify that on the U.S.A.'s policy page, they didn't say publication specifically, but they said peer review evidence that whatever you're doing in your area of research is being recognized by people in the field. So there's a line like that in the U.S.A. policy. So I'm not saying they're not writing publication, but you in research will understand that they're talking about publication. So
Yes.
I'm not saying you are wrong or you're right, because you said there's no statute out there, there's no policy, but there's a policy, a U.S.A.'s policy, like that specifically highlights that you have to be ready. They have to be documents of people in your field, yeah, recognizing your expertise in that field. And the best way in research for you to be recognized for your expertise really is through publication, if we're being
Yes.
honest. But
So
I'm not saying you're wrong or you're right. I'm just saying, I'm just clarifying that point.
yes, that's absolutely important. That we dial in on that because it's a continuous confusion every
Yeah.
year. Everybody there. There's so the fact that something is on their websites, you have to understand what it's saying, right? Is it a policy? No. What are the cardinal requirements? You have to have higher education. That one, if you don't have, I mean, for the particular category we're talking about, if you don't
Mhm.
have, there's nothing you don't you don't have that. That's it.
Yeah.
Something like that. Now you want to demonstrate expertise. The publication is like one of the major ways you can do that. But then you have other ways. There are people that have done this that don't have publications,
No, I
right?
agree with you. I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
saying,
So
I'm
I'm trying to
clarifying the
explain.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to clarify the fact that when you said there's no such thing in their policy, it's a three-pronged approach for NIW, because I just reviewed it recently. The first one is that advanced degree. The second one is you demonstrating your expertise or being recognized. So it's three prongs. The first require there are parts of the requirement. So it's not part of it. It is part of it. But the first primary requirement is having an advanced degree. The second prong approach is where you have to demonstrate your expertise and be recognized in that field. You know, and I think it's there. What I'm saying is, I want us to be careful about saying it's not there because it's actually there, right?
No, no. What I said is a policy. A policy. Another issue is, what is a policy? What is a regulation? What is all that kind of thing? Those demonstrate that you're an expert. If you can do that with a publication, with or without,
Mm.
it's not a policy. It's an example of what you can use. It's probably the best example of what you can use. But the fact that you don't have it doesn't mean that you cannot apply for it, right? That's
No, I'm
what
not
I'm trying
hammering
to
on
clarify.
publication here. I'm not hammering on publication here. I'm hammering on the line of demonstrated expertise. It doesn't have to be a publication. I agree with you. I'm saying there's a line like that on the U.S.A.'s page. So it might be a publication. It might be evidence of work that you've done outside of the United States. I've seen people with that publication applying, but you have to be able to demonstrate that whatever you're right, that you are being recognized in that field by experts of that field. It's part of the requirement. If you
Uh,
understand what I'm saying.
Mark, I understand you,
Well,
and I know the issues that people are facing. I reviewed these documents for people, right? So, but
Yeah.
I also know, in fact, there was this friend of a friend. She's actually in Harvard. She's doing a master's. Zero publication, zero. But this person has an NGO in her country, in Zimbabwe, right? She's putting girls to school, in Zimbabwe. She's doing all these things. Zero publication. She was about to graduate. She has a husband. She's like, what's going to happen? The husband is on our own. Husband is F2 on our own F4. It was the whole world was collapsing. I say, okay, okay, I've heard you. I told her, you have things that most people don't even have. That kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Long story short, she ended up having it. What I'm saying, to clarify the language, what you're buttressing what I'm saying. Actually, you are. But when I say a policy, The fact that they are describing what USA is trying to do with their on their page, they have the requirements. Then they describe how you can satisfy the requirements. They
Mm.
cannot exhaustively say how you can. They use the best case scenario to describe it. You see where that confusion can easily creep in,
Mm.
right? There's no, because people that I know, countless people that have done it without publications, without citations, or even, you
I
understand.
agree.
So
I
I'm trying to
agree.
clarify that. So the
I
fact
agree.
that, so this is also where it's important, and maybe why people should just use a lawyer. It's important what you're reading on the website. What does it mean? What are you reading? Is it a policy? Is it an example of how you can satisfy a policy?
Mm.
You see how this thing go? Is that
I
the
agree.
only way you can do it? Multiple ways. If you're reviewing abstract, you're reviewing journals, you're being a judge at a conference. All these ways that
Mm.
people don't even know. You
If you don't like feeling lost but still want to move to the U.S., then tune into the McBleny Podcast show. Meet E&I, Blessing, and Ikohi, your friendly guides to making the big move to the U.S. Whether you're dreaming of new opportunities or reuniting with family, we've got you covered. Our mission? To give you the tips, tricks, and insights you need to navigate the immigration process smoothly. So grab your headphones and get ready to embark on your journey with us. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. One of another consideration when you are deciding to do your own application or your package yourself is you have to be meticulous. If you're not a meticulous person, maybe you want to have someone that is meticulous review your case, or just go with a lawyer, and they will have to do their job. Some of the complexities. If your case is straightforward, you can always take it. But sometimes, like I mentioned previously, someone is not sure if their case is straightforward. They're not sure if they
Mhm.
qualify. They're not comfortable with just the old dealing with immigration thing. Oh, sometimes it can be very scary. Meanwhile, I have one of our friends, really. If you say you want to use a lawyer, he will sit you down for 1 hour, 2 hours, why you should not use a lawyer. They will discourage you. You can't. What do you need a lawyer for that you cannot do by
You
yourself?
can't do by yourself.
And there's validity in what he's saying, but of course, assuming your case is straightforward, right? And there's a lot of information out there that can help you, especially when you have advanced degree, you're not doing anything else. What is the most important thing that you have to do at that point? If it's, of course, I'm just speaking in general, besides
Yeah.
adjusting status, if you're running out of status, or a life event is about to happen. So I think it's important. And why one other critical thing why you have to be meticulous is when you're putting together a package, there's sometimes the instructions, you read it, but you don't understand it fully. So you're not sure whether to add a form or not add a form, or how
Yeah.
do I fill this particular section. You might end up doing hours and hours of research, and you still fill it out, and you're still wondering, oh, did I fill that correctly? Did I? So these are some challenges, but I think that should not stop anyone from applying by themselves. Join communities of people that are doing it: LinkedIn, YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook, Reddit. They have sources, and there are some lawyers that are almost they are huge in this space. Maybe it's okay to mention their name. Chen Associates are one of those. Ellis Porters, they are one of those. Columbo and Erd is not very popular, but I've had
Yeah, I know them,
I've
and
had
they have
I've had an encounter with them. They are
yeah,
really
yeah,
solid. Yeah, in how they
very
even
solid
in
guys.
how they
Yeah.
relate with you. They make you feel comfortable. They have that experience. Yeah, yeah. So I've had encounter with them. I've had encounter with most of them. In sometimes I think I just enjoy trying to figure out different cases. What would they say? Even for
Hmm.
people that want to do it themselves, I usually advise that talk to a lawyer still, see what they say. You know, it might
Mhm.
make sense that you're thinking you want to do it for yourself, but when you hear them or when they look at your package, it's actually better to go with them. Or they can reinforce what you're already thinking in that way, right?
Or
Or
they can
or
discourage you.
or oh, that's what I'm going. They can discourage you. You're like, yeah, I'm not ready.
I'm not
Or,
ready.
what they can also do is give. Sometimes most of them won't give you, but sometimes they can. When they hear your story, they can say one or two sentences. If you've already into it, they can give you added strategy to what you already uh, want to do by yourself. So I think these are some things
Yeah.
to put into consideration when you are trying to go for yourself, because there are implications to falling out of status in the US. It's legally it's usually a problem. It's, mentally, it's not a good place to be, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you spend all these years, all this money trying to get into the
Yeah.
country, and now you're out of status. So it's best to prevent it. In fact, I know people that would apply on like two, three different levels just to be sure. Just to be sure, because some of
Yeah.
these packages, pathways that what we previously described in episode 5, they're not they are mutually exclusive. You can qualify on the family, you can qualify by yourself, you can qualify with an employer. There's nothing wrong in starting out these applications. Maybe even, in fact, I've had a combo of someone used a lawyer, then they for with work, then they
Mm.
also did by themselves. At some point they converge, they adjust their status, because they qualify on different levels, right? So there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
saying you shouldn't do those things, but just know what the implications are for going the different routes that you might want to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Annie, I have a question before you continue.
yes,
Do you know
yes.
what's the win rate between using the lawyer and doing it yourself? Like, did you
Oh,
any
I
idea?
think that's important. That's an important question. I
Right,
don't
yeah.
know,
Why would they want to use the lawyer? Yeah.
but then the issue is using a lawyer doesn't guarantee anything. You're always responsible for yourself, even the information that the lawyer puts into it, right? Because you
Mm.
know, just like taxes and other things, you are responsible for it. And the fact that you use a lawyer doesn't mean, oh, now they're not the one approving your case, right? Is the USCIS adjudicating your case. So the fact that you use a lawyer, in fact, I've seen folks use a lawyer, and they eventually don't get it, then they do it themselves, then they get it. Uh, yeah,
Mm.
I've seen two of those cases. In fact, one of them, if you see the citation, you will run. It was so much. It was like, why did this person even use a lawyer in the
Use a
first place?
lawyer in the first place. Yeah.
But I don't know how they presented the person, right?
Mm.
That how you were being presented, how the person that's reviewing your case, how are they seeing it? How are you able to communicate your value to them? Especially in relation
Mm.
to how you can help the U.S. Support the U.S. interest. So these are important. Uh, I know tons
Yeah.
of people that have done it themselves, and tons of people that have used lawyer. I probably know more people that have done it themselves than people that have used lawyers, and they all got approval of their adjudication. So using a lawyer doesn't guarantee, but maybe
Mm.
it's probably most helpful for
Yeah, it
people.
can be very helpful. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry
Go
for
ahead.
I'll
Go
just
ahead.
try
No,
to get this point. I will probably forget.
sure.
You know, because some things, if it's in my head at some point, I can easily forget
Ah,
it.
of course,
you
of
know.
course, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Just
because hey,
tell us if you don't
your
old.
of your road, I tell you, man. Just another the board like two of them. So
Okay.
Oh, what a comeback!
Continue.
you know,
Continue.
I mean, like the example you were giving, was for specifically like EB2 NIW applications and all that, But I remember somebody told me about a story. There's a lawyer in Atlanta. He's actually a popular immigration lawyer, you know, and he helped this friend of mine that told me about his story literally about 20 years ago. To when he was already out of status, he had tried different things, and nothing was really working, and literally on deportation proceedings, you know.
Wow.
And then he reached out to this lawyer, yeah, and somebody linked him up and said, "Oh, just go and as far as you meet this lawyer, don't worry, your case is settled."
Now the guy Juju with that.
Yeah, like he said, he went to meet this lawyer, I mean, I just don't want to mention the name, but it's a popular immigration attorney in Atlanta. And we had a conversation and all that. They told, okay, this is what we're going to pay. This is what you need, information, bro. That was it. Like that was it. This the judge. That judge. When he went to the court and all that, everything was in his favor. Yeah.
Well, this was
And
NIW.
No,
no,
no.
W, no.
Person was on a
So,
proceeding, right? Like you
there
said.
was on the petition proceedings. Yeah.
That one,
So
yeah, I mean,
I think he was trying to, and I think then he had some other issues, and then he was trying to now change his status because he got married again, and he wanted to change his status, but they were still immigration was not going to let it go because of
Oh, I
other issues.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, yeah,
he already had
that,
complications.
yeah,
Yeah, he already had some complications, and they were like, no, 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 it's you just
Yeah,
need
in
to
that
leave.
case, we need a lawyer.
You know.
yeah. That's very, very important, and that type of story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I mean, what he said was this particular lawyer, you know, the reason why he's where he thinks the reason one of the reasons why he's very successful is because some of these judges they meet at the golf course, they play golf together.
That's
You
right.
understand?
It
So
in every field, honestly.
you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So that's why like the guy's success rate is very, very high because it's more like, the people that are going to judge your case are his friends. He's a senior lawyer himself in Atlanta. He's been in Atlanta for work for several years. So many of them they know him. So that's why pointing to going back to the point you made earlier about using people that are known in the field for
For
like
certain
this
things, yeah.
particular thing.
For your
So this
case.
is someone that yeah, yeah, for your case, using people that are because they know the latest policies, they know, the latest, regulations, especially in regards to that case. They know how to package your document paperwork. They know
They've been
how
doing
to
it for
package,
years.
what you say. So it's generally, I mean, like you said, using an attorney is very, very important. In fact, to me, I would say if everyone can afford it, I think it's just best to go that route. But in a situation whereby, for example, you are just trying to apply for change of status in like EB2NIW or green card by marriage and all those applications, then you may want to go by yourself if you think you're good enough to represent yourself and present yourself in a way that would work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Just to add to that, I know Andy, you have a lot to say.
Right, right.
I have a well, I would say it's a personal experience because a friend I knew, he came in through one of these special kind of visa, similar to a J visa, but it's not a J visa. He came in for a particular program in the US. I've forgotten that kind of visa now. So he was supposed to leave right after something like a conference. When you come in for a conference, he was supposed to present at the conference. Then after the conference, he should have left the United States, but he didn't. So he stayed back. So just to buttress what Blessing said, it got to a point where there was already deportation proceeding because he tried going through the marriage-based route, but that didn't work. Eventually, there were some issues. So it got to the point where it was already on deportation proceedings, right? So there was a particular lawyer that he was trying to use before, having conversations with that guy. During the course of that conversation, in one of these visitation sessions, he now met another Nigerian, right? The guy was like, well, man, see my case. So he was trying to explain what was going on. That guy told him point blank, bro, you're in the wrong place. There's only one guy in Boston that can do this which is your kind of visa that people have already gone that route to go and meet this guy. So he went to this guy, he paid like 10 grand. Like 10 grand. That the guy like upfront, he just told him, man, bro, 10 grand, you pay this money, this thing, we're going to do something about it. So he signed a payment plan because he didn't have the money upfront. Started paying, they got the case. Now it's very important that there's a difference between immigration judge and U.S.A. Immigration judges in the U.S., because it's law that oversees, just to buttress your point, oversees the U.S.A. policy. It doesn't matter if U.S.A. has put you on the immigration proceeding. If an immigration judge at that point, they made fit for you to remain in the country, any other proceedings you have from the U.S.A. become null and void.
Yeah.
So that was what happened. U.S.A. already had ICE agents submitted the guy's name. He was ready to go. This judge stepped in. They brought his case immediately to the immigration judge. Right there and there, he was issued a green card. I didn't know this before. That an immigration judge can look at your case and give you permanent residence. Like it's not a question of
They have so much power, man.
go back and apply to it. It just told them, forget the U.S.A matter. My friend, they're going to issue you a green card. Send this information to the U.S.A. In 2 months, Baba get the card for mail. He said he could not even believe it. Like, that to tell you how immigration judges, in fact, law in this country is so important.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's very
somebody
very.
can. It's like once, as the guy made that pronouncement, every other case that U.S.A has built against the guy
Null and void.
just went null and void. Guy was issued a green card. All the whole past transgressions were forgiven. So just to buttress that point. But like Blessing said, I think it's case dependent. You have to
Yes.
know if you can actually package yourself
Yeah,
properly, or if you
this
need
is
it.
important.
If
This
you
is
need a
important.
lawyer, yeah.
This is important. Knowing, like we've said over the course of this presentation, understanding your situation. If you think it's simple enough, you have the time, because it takes time, and you don't want to pay, or you just feel comfortable with yourself, you can try. Just be careful, don't complicate things for yourself, because that is also possible. You send in the wrong application the first time, or you make put a wrong record. You send that forward, then you start having to then need that lawyer that you were trying to avoid to help you correct things. And at that point, okay, now you are here, all right, you have to pay this. But overall, I generally just think that I don't think there's an amount too much to use for lawyers. At the end of the day, if you're able to get that adjustment, so far that's what you want. I honestly, 10K, it's probably going to keep increasing, but as long as you get what you want with them,
Mm.
I don't think it's too much. It's the value that I look at, not the cost of it. What is the value of that adjustment of status to you? You know, so I
Yeah.
don't think you can pay 3K. Maybe I don't know who paid 3K. I don't know who ever paid 3K in the recent 3 years
Yeah,
or so.
where people have paid 3K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in the past 3 years, 4 years, I don't that thing
Mm.
has really gone up. Yeah, it's yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I think yeah, just to say there are many success stories. There's just to recap a little bit. There's the route of strictly lawyers. There's the route of you go yourself first. If there's a problem, you you call in the cavalry. You go and look for a lawyer. After there's a typically, hopefully, it's not a serious problem. It's just part of the procedure, but it's a little bit more complicated for you to handle. That's another
Mhm.
route. So maybe hopefully that time you also now have some money that you can use. And there's a route that I don't even attempt. Just go for it. Like you just need a lawyer. Don't even bother. And they have a tremendous amount of value to add to the general proceeding, because you just don't want to be out of status. I believe when they canceled the MAVNI program was a program that allowed people that have been in the U.S. legally for at least minimum of 2 years to then join the military through maybe active duty or reserve. This was cancelled. I don't know. Was it 2016, 17?
2016.
Yeah, thereabout. There was a case because when they were about to cancel it, they had to review it first. The review took months. Within those months, some people fell out of status that
Mm.
already had their application in. A good number of people. So there was a case. So they actually took. I think I don't know if it was there's a federal case. I probably should have checked this, but I know there was a case. I don't know who were the plaintiffs
Yeah.
or in that case, but there was a serious case. The issue is, even though you have a case, you don't want to be in that case. You don't want to be in that situation, having to drag with the USCIS, because I think at some point someone was out of status for 700 days. They start to count this thing. It starts to drag on. Since you've been out of status, it still continues to count as they are trying to go back and forth and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully they were able to find some middle ground for them. but you just want to make sure you're not out of status. If you're thinking of staying, of course, if you want to go back to your country, just go immediately. There's no need to be out of status. Just pack your bags, go back and continue your life. There are people that have also done that. Some of them we know, although some of them they went to get married and they stayed there. They married an odogu, so there's no need to be to be in this code trying to clear snow. And some people went, they just went to start a business or take over a huge business. So you have these situations as well. But there's also nothing wrong in getting the green card and also still or citizenship as the case may be, then still going back to do the things that you need to do. I also know people that have done that as well, right? So it's case dependent, given your situation, see what works for you. Most importantly, don't fall out of status. It can be a problem trying to then adjust. You know, s- the cost of it, the mental threat of it, the time it's going to take to also do that as well. So these
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
important things to consider. Yeah, there's
Mm.
been plenty of people that we know. They, I think one of the more common one that I've seen is people that are putting the application themselves. Then when there's an RFE, request for further evidence, then they maybe then bring in a lawyer. I've also seen ones that are just still then do the RFE because sometimes I think the problem with the RFE is it comes in different ways. You might have someone, the reviewer might be very, very good. They really itemize what they need specifically. They look at your application, they say you don't have if you can show us this, they
Yeah.
specify. Some of them are kind of generic,
Very
you
big.
don't
Yeah.
even know what they're asking
Mm.
for. So it can be kind of a risk to do that yourself. So sometimes it's almost, I think in that case, I just in my mind I tell someone they just want you to rewrite your entire application because you don't know what you want to speak to specifically. Some
Mm.
of them they just want, okay, they feel okay, you're good, but you don't have enough experts that you know your recommendation letters we think you can we just give us more, that kind of a thing. Then it's easy, just go and start begging high profile people.
To write letters for you.
See what is going on. There was a case like that actually. Please, what do you think I can do? Some people are kind enough. They will respond to you. Yeah. The person also got it at that point. But that was a very, very helpful reviewer, right? But for the one that there was not specific, they just basically it was like they had something they already. In fact, there was, I think in one of them they were writing the person to bring something that they already submitted. So that's very confusing. So essentially, we were like, okay, just write something new for these people. Like, just change your strategy a little bit. Of course, borrowing from what you already wrote, but demonstrate more value that you can add.
Mm.
So, but it can be daunting such that in that situation, someone cannot even think because time has
Mm.
passed. Now they want the RFE. Now your status is even the window is even tighter now.
Getting
So
close.
sometimes
Yeah.
just want to go with a lawyer to help you because maybe you can't afford to then put in a respond to the RFE. Now you still, you're not sure of what's going to happen. So I think so far that's I think that's quite comprehensive. If you guys have any other stories to specific or
Yeah.
questions,
So
actually, I think
yeah, I
that
think I will just share stories. You've been able to really shine so much light on some of the importance of using a lawyer, and also some of the advantages of trying to do it yourself. And I think if I understand what you said, as a summary, it's a case by case scenario. You just have to look at where you are in terms of your case, and if your case requires extra effort on your part and you can actually afford it, the safest route is actually to just pay a lawyer and get it over with. Because the advantage of that is, which I also think you guys already mentioned, is these guys understands this process more because they've been doing it for a longer time, and they also have some relationship with U.S.A, so they're able to position your case a lot better. I just want to share a story where you said about where somebody can start an application themselves and eventually, let's say you get what you call RFE, which is request for further evidence, and then what do you not do then? I know like 50%, 60% of certain cases in certain scenarios fall into that case. And the reason for that can be two things. I heard the story sometimes that your ACIs get so packed that they will just the first look at your case like, oh boy, this guy is not ready. Just to RFP, because what that does is it shifts the backlogs for them. And I don't know how true is this. These are just things
Yes.
that people are just saying as a guess. Sometimes I actually believe they have to view the case, and if you don't meet the requirement before giving the RFE. But like you mentioned, some of these RFE can be generic. You might see 3 or 4 people having the same word, very similar wordings. I won't say the exact wordings. And then you begin to wonder, is it the same person that reviewed these different cases? Imagine somebody in Kansas, this other guy is in a different state. It can't be the same officer, correct? So now let's say you start an application yourself because you feel you have what it takes, which is you've gone through the requirements and you feel you meet the requirements, and you have the mental fortitude to be able to write those letters. Those letters can be pretty daunting, like any mention, and also very long. You throw in your case, and then you get an RFE. Then in that case, what do you do? And I think Annie also highlighted that point. But I'll just share a story that I know of a friend that actually had that case, started this RFE application. Sorry, the adjustment application while still in school. Submitted the application, got an RFE a few months later, about 6 or 7 weeks. The essence of the RFE basically was they kind of highlighted, according to, so there's a particular case U.S.A. has usually refers to Dancer versus the United States government. Because there was a guy that was a nuclear physicist that he was trying to say, though he was doing a postdoctoral program, he didn't like actually have a job per job, but what he was doing was going to benefit the US. So they usually use that in most RFE to highlight the 3-pronged steps. So the RFE that this person got was highlighted along those steps that you met satisfy the first requirement of having an advanced degree, but the other 2 requirements, which is demonstrated expertise and all of that, you were falling short. So McBleny had 6 recommendation letters. So how you want me to demonstrate expertise pass 6 recommendation letters from people top in the field, and people just like you said, this person already had a publication, like 2 or 3 publications already. So this was already demonstrated expertise. But now the letter came back, the RFE came back saying you need to show that expertise in that particular field. So for that kind of case, I just recommend, just my friend, get a lawyer. No, because the reason for that is because it's still as if you have what it takes, recommendation letters from top guys in the field, publications and all of that, but still they are telling you that, you don't have enough. Now, let me tell you what the lawyer did. Simply went back, he took all the whole files, looked at your application letter, everything. The same recommendation letter, the same recommenders. He asked the applicant, can you just send back these letters to all these recommenders? They just highlighted a few parts of that letter, like in terms of change the wordings here, change the wordings here, change the wordings here, change the wordings here. Letters came back, change the wording here, change. Then the because you also have to write something like I would say like a petition letter demonstrating why your work is important to the US. So that letter too, what the lawyer also did, looked into it and just adjusted a few things and try to emphasize that what this guy is doing is going to be important later down the line and all of that. Submitted the same application, same recommenders, same publication, McBleny got approved. So I mean, it begins to give credence to the fact that is it the way things were written, or is it just because they were busy, or like you said, maybe it was a different reviewer? Because the truth is, the people that also pick up the case, I think, like you said, have different level of expertise, and based on the different level of expertise, they look at the things very differently. Because your matter really is at the discretion of the U.S.A. officer.
The understanding in this case, the understanding of
the understanding of that person. Because if the person to their understanding feels you have enough, you are getting approved. Now, if another person look at that same case and feel certain things are lacking, you are getting an RFE. So, I mean, it becomes a little bit daunting in cases like that, especially with guys that have had the first RFE. I recommend you trying to use a lawyer. But I also know a case, like Annie mentioned, that it was easy. The RFE was pretty straightforward, right? So they just wanted the person to turn in a document they already had. Was it their birth certificate? birth certificate of Benny has already submitted, but they came out like, oh, man, we need another birth certificate. Oh, Benny called U.S.A. Like, I have submitted. The officer just told him, like, oh, send it again. Should they say that waiting they need? Why are you calling me? You already know what they need. So, did it again, and got approved. So I just wanted to share that. I don't get frustrated that these things might take
Yeah.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's important.
Absolutely.
And you might just want to start with them already.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of things relating to like immigration. I mean, they have their laid down rules. I feel like I'm just kind of putting myself in their mind and their office and seeing how they work. Like, okay, we have the laid down rules on maybe basic things. Okay, has this person met this, met that? Okay, yes, the person has met all of this. And then they feel like the remaining thing is at the discretion of the officer. It's just like when you're going to the embassy to apply for visa.
Same.
You understand? Like you have everything they said. Normally, every other person has gone. Your brother went there. The documents he carried, he went over there. They gave him visa. You carry the same thing. Got there. They say no.
My brother, I have so many problems now. You're supposed to know that one. I will not be the U.S.A. officer anymore. Now from the village, they now open the mirror.
So that's the thing. Like a lot of times, it's just the immigration officer is just like, when I'm looking at this person. This person is
This guy now will come back.
This person is not going to come back. I'm not giving him this visa. Like how? Why would they just look at me and think, or look at the person and just make that? But again, it's at their own discretion. So they use all kind of psychology and everything that they use, and they may just be having a bad day. The immigration officer may just be having a bad day, and everybody that comes across his way, maybe 50 people comes, or maybe let me say 15 people comes to his table. 2 of them may get successful, and the remaining is rejection. So but it's been an interesting subject, an interesting episode, and something I think is very, very important and would be very, very beneficial to our listeners and viewers, regarding the importance of using legal guidance and situations and cases where, using legal representation may not be entirely necessary. As much as we've already pointed out, we cannot say it enough. If you are able in any immigration application that you are putting out, try to use an attorney if you are able. Again, it comes down to cost most of the time. Like a lot of people will not have $5,000, $6,000 or more, $10,000 to pay an attorney, so they would rather want to go their way. But like Annie said earlier, it's like sometimes when you look at this cost and then you're like, okay, what is the benefits? You look at the benefits rate, and is it benefit cost ratio or
Cost benefit analysis.
How did they put it? Where you find cost benefit, right? Yeah. So like, will I be losing more in the end? Some people have tried, doing the working on it without an attorney and be successful, depending on the immigration pathway they were on at the time, and some others tried it when it didn't work. So it's at the discretion of, it's at your own discretion, and knowing what you want, what you're applying for, and how much you have as well, to know, okay, do I want to use a lawyer for my change of status or not? So this brings us to the end of today's episode, and we want to thank every one of you that was able to stay to the end. We really, really appreciate you. It's because of you guys that we are always here. We are looking forward to your feedbacks, your comments. And again, like we said, we are not immigration attorneys, we are not lawyers, we are not providing any legal advice because we are not qualified to do that. We are just sharing experiences, just sharing our own experience. And you can also drop your, some of you drop your own experiences as well. Some things that you think will be beneficial to other people that are listening. Why not? Let us, share the knowledge so that every one of us can benefit from it. We want to thank you again, and we hope you're going to join us on our next episode. Next. And from here, it's have a good evening.
Peace out.
Bye.
All right, man.